Hello and welcome to another audio analysis. In today's video we'll be taking a look at the track Do You Wish That You Loved Me by the British rock metal collective Sleep Token. This is the sixth track to be released from their upcoming album Take Me Back to Eden, which does drop May 19th, and it's the first track to be released that is not actually in sequence. This will be track 9 on the album. Up to now they've released 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so surprisingly they're leaving 6 until either a later date or until the album releases. And even with the 5 previous releases, we've seen a very interesting mix of styles. The more lullish Aqua Regia, the very heavy and almost visceral Vor, and also the very aggressive into very funky The Summoning. So you really never know what you're going to get with every single track that the band released. They've certainly shown a multitude of different styles across the album so far. So will this prove to be a track that the fans wish they could love or hate? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds.
Into deep blue safety, is it always the same? Do you wish that you loved me? Do you pull out the chains? Or do you push into constant aching each and every day? Do you wish that you loved me?
Okay, well this is definitely not what I think most fans would be expecting from the band. This is much more poppy sounding. This definitely gives off Eden vibes, really does. I talked about it in a previous Sleep Token video. He really does remind me, Vessel, of a similar vocal style, and just having this lighter, poppier sound really just kind of makes that similarity certainly more noticeable. And we're getting a lot of questions really being brought in at the beginning of this track. Do you roll with the waves or do you duck into deep blue safety? So again, lots of comparatives of doing one thing or the other, push or pull on the chains with this constant aching each and every day. So I like how we've seen that. It's an element that we've seen throughout most of their tracks, and we're seeing that continued so far.
You loved me. Now are you trying to live like everything is a lesson to learn? Can you ever forgive yourself? Do you wish that you loved me?
Okay, there's one really interesting thing I want to touch on. I talked a lot in previous videos about how they keep it very ambiguous with the lyrics, and they're doing the exact same on this one as well, because there's two perspectives you've got going on here. First of all is this introspective, inner reflective style. It's almost like you're talking in a mirror, just kind of talking to yourself, giving yourself a bit of a pep talk, really, with the idea of being kind of stuck in a place where you've got decisions to make and you can't really do that, and you can't really get to the point where you love yourself, so certainly being down and out almost. But at the same time, you could look at it as this romantic relationship about someone that's quite dark in nature, and their partner can no longer love them because they've become somebody different or not become something that can be loved. So we've got these two different interesting takes that you can draw from. It gives it a much more widespread appeal rather than just being that just solely maybe inner reflective, but it could go either way as the song develops.
My reflection just won't smile back at me like I know it should, and I would turn into a stranger in an instant if I could. And there is something eating me alive, I don't know what it is. Maybe not that you conceal your feelings, they just don't exist. Do you ever believe
Okay, one thing I really want to touch on with the actual chorus that's quite interesting, we've got this idea of my reflection just won't smile back at me. So touching on that inner reflective style, this idea of turning into a stranger in an instant if I could. So almost like this idea of I could kind of move myself away from the way. It could be a stranger to everybody, not just yourself. So keeping that appeal there, even with some of these mentions of mirrors, it's not solely focusing on one singular idea. And we see something used here that we do see on tracks such as Aqua Regia. There's not heavy amounts of instruments being used in the background. They're just slightly scattered around, just kind of almost a round vessel, just letting him really take to the forefront on this track, really let him shine on the vocals as he's done throughout most of the other tracks. But it doesn't need to be overpowering from the instruments, and that's something they do all the time that I love so much. They don't drown him out. They just really have their own moments to shine in certain tracks. But for this, you don't need these massive walls of sound built around it. You just want it to have that softer feeling. Certainly looking at this idea of emotions with this almost heart-shaped figure that we have got representing the visuals.
We can turn into different people. It's getting harder to be myself. Do you wish that you loved me? Could we ever release? Is it better to just not feel? Can we hit delete? Do you wish that you loved me? It's been so long that I'm forgetting what it feels like, but I'd rather not remind myself and leave it all behind. And I try so hard to fix it all, but nothing seems to help. But I cannot hope to give you what I cannot give myself.
Okay, that's a really interesting lyric we have got at the end of the chorus, but I cannot hope to give you what I cannot give myself, because it doesn't break that ambiguity still. It could be for this partner that you've been with over time, you've split things off and they can no longer love you, but they wish that they could. But it still has the ambiguity of that reflectiveness, because it's this idea of I can't love me, so I can't love my reflection almost. So it still applies to both, which is a bit of a twisted way of kind of looking at the lyric, but great how they've kind of kept that in there, really just kept that open-endedness all the way throughout the track. They've never broken that with any of the lyrics.
Do you wish that you loved me? Small bird. Do you wish that you loved me? Do you wish that you loved me? Oh, whoa. Do you wish that you loved me? Do you wish that you loved me? Small bird. Do you wish that you loved me? Do you wish that you loved me? Oh, do you wish that you loved me?
Okay, that was definitely a very weird track that I was not expecting from the band. It's definitely one that I think will maybe grow on certain people. I think this is going to be a song that divides people. I think certainly for newer fans this will feel like a bit of a step in a strange direction. However, for long-term fans, many will have heard Fall For Me off This Place Will Become Your Tomb, which certainly had very similar styles to this track. It has that almost auto-tune thrown onto Vessel, has that much softer tone, just really just kind of being stripped back and laid back. So it's something that we have seen from the band before, but it was something that I don't think many would have been expecting to possibly hear on this album. I am glad though that this is not following straight on from Vor. I think that would have been too much of a contrast, going from the visceral screams to something poppy and light-hearted like this. So I'm glad that that's split up on the album, and I don't think it's got the same pull and the same appeal as some of the other tracks on the album. That may just be because it's not the style and the sound that we're used to hearing from the band. I don't think it has quite that same power as the Aqua Regia did, which certainly felt like it was a bit more encapsulating some really strong ideas. But one thing I think this track does very well, it kind of does get you to reflect almost. It kind of gives off this idea of someone staring at themselves in the mirror, looking inwards and trying to kind of find peace within themselves, whilst also still having that application to a potential partner or something like that if you want to draw that from it. So I like the ambiguity thrown onto this track again. I don't think that the meanings and the the messages are quite as heavy or quite as strong as we did see on some of the other tracks, but really interesting to see how they continue to develop this kind of technical genre code that the band actually wear in their ability to just dance and try different styles. And it's great to see them try something different, but I certainly will be interested to see how it fits in with the whole album once it is released. So that'll be everything for today's video, but please let me know your thoughts about this track in the comments section below. Do you think it's just too far from the Sleep Token sound, from that heavier sound we're used to hearing from the band? Do you just feel like maybe it's an interesting turn that the band have taken trying something like this? Do you quite like it and feel it's got that great sound to it? I personally am a big fan of Eden and I like a lot of the stuff he does, so for this, to me it sounds very similar to that. I just think with this, the vocal tone that they both have, Eden and Vessel, and just the musical style as well, it does link to some of those kind of tracks, so great to see that, just having that similarity, which makes it much easier for me to digest. But certainly I will admit, a bit of a weird track for the actual band to go on and release. Also, if you would like to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next audio analysis.